we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sentences that have been put up, and we need to identify our topic sentence to begin with, and post which we will look at connecting sentences, right? So the objective of a jumbled sentence obviously is to unravel the sequence, look for keywords or clue words, ask questions. These are all some of the strategies that we usually apply when it comes to jumbled sentence, and that's what we're going to do today as well. So given the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sentences, the first step is to identify the topic sentence, which gives me an idea or tells me what the paragraph is going to be about. Now, sometimes it may not be even easy to identify the topic sentence. So in that case, what we need to do is look at words that are repeated throughout, right, to get an idea or to get an understanding. Alright, so quickly, if you look at the underlying word that is probably, repetitive, right? The repetitive word is, I have malnutrition, nutrition, alright, this is pretty much repetitive throughout the passage. So I need to kind of look at which passage is giving me a pretext, like a basic foundation, telling me, hey, this is the topic sentence, right? And you will have a couple of pointers. Now, if you look at this, there are not too many connecting or linking words. You don't have thus, also, while, because. These are all linking, connecting words. In addition, later, right? So having said that, the only thing I see is, let's look at it. Most of you have come back and said you think E is the topic sentence. Now, just a quick tip for you. Whenever there is statistics or survey, right, you need to kind of read the entire sentence to understand, can it be a topic sentence or can it be addressing something else? Meaning, is it giving me additional information about a sentence that has preceded it? So, a lot of you have come back and said, we think E is the topic sentence. Okay, now let's look at connecting sentences, right? Before, you've not been able to identify what the topic sentence is. That is, most of you have come back and said E. We don't know if that is the case. Right, let's quickly look at it. Are there connecting sentences? Can you look for connecting sentences? Leave aside the topic sentence. Let's look at connecting sentences. So, if you look at E is actually kind of giving me a solution, right? So, the Ministry of Finance in its economic survey, which happened 2015 to 16, says that some of the highest economic returns to public investment and human capital in India lie in maternal and early life health and nutrition interventions. So, it's almost giving you a solution to the problem, right? But what is the problem? What is the problem? The problem is addressed, in fact, if you ask me, in D. The need to systematically address underlying causes of malnutrition in India is an urgency that cannot be postponed for the following reasons, right? And then you have one reason here, and then you have the second reason there, right? Now, having said that, most of you have come back and said DF, probably because of this. Reason 1, reason 2. But we also need to look at connecting sentences and what does it mean, right? So, let's leave this aside. I'm putting it here. D. D, in fact, for me, looks more like a topic sentence, but let's see, right? Poor nutrition is poor economics. And if you look at surrounding context, in fact, when I say poor nutrition is poor economics, I need to look at sentences which are addressing both this, which is nutrition and economics, right? And the sentences that are expanding on that is A. and E. In fact, A says the World Bank estimates that India loses 2 to 3% of its annual GDP by way of lower productivity, the underlying cause of which is malnutrition. So they are addressing what are the reasons for malnutrition, right? And they've mentioned one of the reasons being poor nutrition is poor economics, and what that this particular phrase is expanded in A, where there is some statistics given, right? GDP obviously is used to calculate the economy of a particular region or a state or a country, right? So it addresses both the factors that poor nutrition is poor economics. A addresses that, and in fact E goes on to explain further, saying, you know what we need to do to address this? This is what has to happen. Okay, let's keep that aside. So I have D, A and E. Now, if I look at E, it says nutrition interventions. This is one of the aspects that has come up and said this could be the reason. Let's go back and look at any other context that is helping me with this possible nutritional interventions. Then I have C and B, right? We've already addressed DAE, which is here, and F is also there. That's a second reason, right? Let's look at it. Then you have the Copenhagen Consensus has identified twice several nutrition interventions as some of the most high yielding of all possible development assessments. So C has to follow E. This is one connecting sentence I see simply because of the clue word, which is nutrition interventions, right? C is giving me how this actually works. E is telling me a solution to this, and C is kind of adding or giving more information on that. So the Copenhagen Consensus has identified twice several nutrition investments as some of the most high yielding of all possible development assessments. So like I said, E is giving us a solution. C, because of the clue word nutrition interventions, which is again expanded or additional information is given about that in C, C has to follow E. That's one particular connecting sentence. Post which, I have the second reason. Now the second reason says, poor nutrition will fracture the dreams and aspirations of India to become a global player in manufacturing and other industries. Look at B. B in fact expands on this statement. What is the clue word in the statement? Dreams are fractured. Aspirations of India to become a global player is kind of reduced. How is that happening? B expands on that. The human dividend on which we are banking is actually a huge liability, given that 1 out of every 3 children is born underweight and unable to realize the full potential for physical growth and cognitive development, leading to lower levels of productivity. So, poor nutrition will fracture the dreams. What are the result or the outcome of poor nutrition? Children are born underweight, right? And because there is not much cognitive development, which is leading to lower levels of productivity, the aspirations of India becoming a global player in manufacturing and other industries is hampered, is reduced. So, for me, F and B has to follow F because B expands on why, taking in clue words and strategies. So, what we basically, this is pretty, if you don't understand the meaning that the context is giving, this can be a very complex jumbled sentence. It's a good question put up by Rajkumar, right? A couple of things that we can learn from this. Now, like I said, most of us have the tendency, like Geeta and Amrita and a lot of you mentioned, right? Right after D, you want to go with S just because of, for the following reasons, you have 1 and you have 2. But where will you fit the remaining sentences, right? That's something that you need to keep in mind. So we can't generally go with numbers as a what do I say? As a reason to follow in sequence. We also have to look at the meaning that the sentence is giving, right? So, connecting sentences, I've said EC and FP. One of you asked why D and A, right? Look at it. Like I said, my phrase is poor nutrition is poor economics, right? When I have two clue words there, nutrition, economics. That's why I said when we're talking about economics and nutrition, economics, immediately my clue is GDP, right? That's one of the factors which evaluates the economy of a state or a region. So that's just additional information expanding on the first reason. And then E reiterates the fact. So how can we address this reason? What is the probable solution to this? And it's given here. What they're saying is there has to be maternal and early life health and nutrition interventions. Like I said, nutrition interventions, there's a repetition of that in C, right? So you need to look for not just sequence, but we also need to look at where can I fit the sentence logically to complete the meaning and form a coherent connection. Right, so far, D gives me a pretext saying, okay, these are the causes. So the paragraph is talking about malnutrition, possible solutions to address that, and certain statistical reports supporting or expanding on that, giving us information, right? That's the whole passage about. So D sets the pretext. A follows expanding or giving me statistics on that phrase, poor nutrition is poor economics, and what do we need to do in order to ensure that we cannot feed in E anywhere before or after C, simply because this is again just additional information. E could be looked at as a solution to A. However, I'd already addressed that. So let's look at the sequence. So most of you came back and said E is the sequence, which is not right. D is the topic sentence, or rather E is the topic sentence, that's what you all said. So D, A, E, C, F, B. Now this is our... Yes, like I said, Pragim, sometimes we'll need to look at where is the pretext, where is the foundation, what's been, that's why I said pay attention to what is the paragraph revolving around, right? You understand the paragraph is revolving around malnutrition. Now if you look at A is A is a sentence that only is giving me statistics. It's saying the World Bank estimates that India loses 2 to 3% of its annual GDP. That's more of a supporting statement. One, I cannot look at that as a topic sentence. B again gives me reasons. The human dividend on which we are banking is actually a huge liability, given that 1 out of every 3 children is born underweight and unable to realize the full potential. So here it's again talking about why something or the result or the outcome of something. So which means there has to be a preceding statement explaining that. C, like I said, it's a consensus, which means some information brought together, right? And it's projecting its reports. So what is its reports? It's identified so and so. This again is expanding on this because this is one of the solutions that is given in E. So it's saying, in fact, right, has identified twice several nutritional interventions as some of the most high yielding. So it's kind of reiterating and supporting, yes, nutritional interventions is likely one of the solutions to address this problem. So it has to follow E. C has to follow E. Now D is the only thing that is, look at D. It says the need to systematically address underlying causes of malnutrition in India is an urgency that cannot be postponed. This entire thing is my pretext because everything else is only supporting or giving me additional information about malnutrition. Right? Again, if you look at E, the Ministry of Finance and its economic survey, giving me a solution, and obviously F is the second reason, right? So I have the first reason, I have a phrase where connecting sentences are adding to it, then I have a second reason, and the second reason, basically, I mean, you know for a fact that B has to follow F because it is telling me how poor nutrition fractures the dreams. What is the outcome or result of poor nutrition? This is what happens, right? When babies are not given the right kind of food or the right amount of food, it results in them being born underweight and other reasons. Now, because of that, cognitive development is hampered or impaired, leading to lower levels of productivity. And because of that, right, you have aspirations of India becoming a global player in manufacturing hampered or reduced. Again, like I said, Pragyam, the only thing that you can do is figure out what can be the pretext, what is giving me a foundation to address the main theme of the paragraph, which is malnutrition or anything to do with the results or the solutions to that.